Welcome to Bayou Horror Stories by J. Dugar. Story number 1, The Lady on the Bridge. I remember growing up in a little small town called Carrico, Louisiana, a place where everybody seemed to be related. I love that town. I had just made 13 this Monday, and I was finally allowed to go to the football game with my oldest sister, Casey, who wasn't exactly thrilled, because let's face it, who wants to drag around their dorky, acne-filled face 13-year-old sister? But my mom insisted. I remember standing in the mirror trying to figure out whether I should put up my socks or down. I did this for at least 3 minutes until my sister Casey screamed for me to come on or I was going to be left behind. So I ran down the stairs, I pet my dog Blue on his head, and got into the back of my sister's boyfriend's truck. Nate was a jock, whatever that meant. But my feet slid straight into what seemed to be leftover residue from beer cans that were halfway folded. And the smell of the exhaust was in my nostrils as soon as I sat down. But hey, I didn't care. I was going to my first game. As we got there, the smell of smoke actually outweighed the fresh popcorn. And everyone from town had to be there. The stands were packed. My cousin Tracy and her boyfriend Dave, they were there too. To be honest, I was kind of bored, probably because my sister Casey didn't let me leave her sight. So between the smell of smoke and mosquitoes the size of my fist attacking me, and my cousin Tiffany and her boyfriend Dave screaming like a bunch of wild animals, I was ready to go. Finally, I heard the horn go off. I think that meant the game was over. Either way, I jumped up, and I was so ready to get out of my beer-stained shoes, go home and take a bath, and watch some Friday night television. But then I heard Dave ask, "Hey, you guys, let's go to the bridge." Now, who wants to go to a bridge? And for what? I thought. If this is what I have to look forward to in my upcoming teenage years, then freeze me here. I heard my sister tell them no because she had me. But I saw the look on her face, and it seemed as if she was scared. And if anything, she was using me as an excuse to get out of this late night field trip to the bridge. But then my cousin Tiffany asked her, "So are you scared of the lady?" I immediately jumped up and said, "What lady?" My sister casually pushed me behind her and said to Tiffany, "No one's scared of any lady. It's not true anyways." But clearly my sister was lying because I could see the sweat starting to fall behind her neck as she spoke. Nate walked up and said, "Well, I'm not scared of any lady. Let's go." Dave and Tiffany jumped in the back of the truck, Dave screaming, "Woohoo!" like a typical teenage boy. Casey pulled me to the side and said, "You can sit in the front with me and Dave." Tiffany said, "No, let her sit back here with us." I asked my sister, "Where are we going?" She answered, "It's a place called the bridge." Tiffany said, "It's a haunted bridge." My heart started beating. "It's a place where the lady in white goes to look for her family." "What lady? What family?" I asked curiously. "The family that she drove over the bridge over 20 years ago. This lady was drunk. She was arguing with her husband about getting a divorce, and she got distracted from the road because her 2 children were in the back seat crying, and they went over the bridge. So every night, she walks up and down, crying, looking for her family." I looked at Casey and said, "I want to sit in the front with you guys." Nate said, "Let's go." He hit the back of the pickup truck, and we were off. As we drove into the night, the sky slowly started looking really dark, and the wind started whistling, almost as if it was trying to tell us to turn back around. Casey grabbed my hand, which was weird, considering I was her pesky little sister. But as the skies darkened, I welcomed it. At that very moment, Tiffany stuck her head through the window and said, "Boo!" I almost crapped in my pants. Casey screamed, "Leave her alone, Tiffany!" And Nate and Dave laughed hysterically. The truck started slowing down. At the same time, my heart started racing. Tiffany said, "We're here." As I looked down the road, I saw this scary bridge. I could only imagine what those kids were thinking as they were falling off this big contraption. Tiffany and Jay jumped out of the truck. Casey said, "Come on, guys, get back in." Nate, for the first time, agreed with my sister. "Yeah, guys, get back in the truck." "Why? Are you guys scared of the lady on the bridge?" As she asked the question, we heard a sound. It sounded like a woman crying. Casey said, "Okay, Tiffany, get back in the truck." "No, maybe it's her. Come on, Dave, let's go look." Nate at this time had stopped the truck completely. He then told Dave, "Man, get back in the truck." As they were talking, I saw her. I couldn't speak. It was as if my tongue was stuck. I started hitting Casey's arm, but she was so busy telling Tiffany to get in, I don't think she noticed. Then the noise. We heard it again. It was louder. Casey then looked up, and she was frozen. Tiffany and Dave kept walking towards it. By this time, Nate started the truck. All of a sudden, fog took over the bridge. We could barely see Tiffany and Dave. Casey called for them to come back. We could hear Tiffany talking. "Do you guys see her? Oh my God." But at this time, the fog had taken over the bridge. Casey screamed for Tiffany to get back in. Nate turned on the truck. He then turned on his fog lights. We made out what seemed to be 3 figures. Casey said to Nate, "Let's go get them." He said to her, "Casey, I can't go." She screamed, "Why?" He said, "My truck is not moving. I'm trying. I have my foot on the gas, but it's not moving." In front of us, we could hear screaming. Dave and Tiffany, they were screaming. All of a sudden, the fog lifted, and the truck just cut off. We were frozen for what seemed to be an eternity. Casey, Nate, and I looked up, and what we saw would scar us for the rest of our lives. It was the lady on the bridge, standing there, and the lifeless bodies of Dave and Tiffany floating right next to her in midair. The lady on the bridge made contact with each of us. She looked dead in our eyes. And then Dave and Tiffany's bodies went over the bridge, and the lady disappeared. The truck started, and Nate immediately drove into town to get the police. And even though we told them what happened, the cops, they didn't believe us. They went to the bridge, and they pulled the bodies of Dave and Tiffany out of the water. They ruled it an accident by a couple of drunk teenagers who jumped off the bridge to prove a point. Life eventually went on for everyone, but I still don't pass over any bridge at night in fear of the lady on the bridge.